Biggs are here right now with 10 News Plus.
An Aussie surfer's Mick Fanning-style encounter with a shark, how she filmed the entire thing on her iPhone.
That on my board, and all of a sudden I felt this bang underneath it. I started yelling out, "Help, help, help."
A paramedic who was shot in the Bondi Beach massacre caught up in a fake gun scare at a Sydney synagogue.
Concorde comeback, the simple rule change that could see supersonic air travel return to Australia.
And we visit the shearing shed, where an outback cop is weaving some crucial life lessons.
Hello, it's great to have you with us. We all remember that moment when Aussie surfer Mick Fanning punched a shark, one that had violently knocked him off his board. The whole thing was caught on camera, once in a lifetime sort of stuff.
Well, not quite. The same thing has just happened to someone else. The surfer you're about to meet. Riss Lasser is a mum of two and happened to have her camera rolling as well as a shark came at her from below.
I'm pretty rattled, to be honest. It's been a couple of days since I've been in the water, and definitely feeling some post-traumatic sort of feelings going on. I was sitting out there and all of a sudden I felt this bang and then a smaller one straight after, and I was like, oh God, okay. And normally when you get bumped on a surfboard, the shark will come back and it'll bite you or attack you. I started yelling out because I knew the guys were on the beach and they saw me and they started moving down towards me, and I just paddled as quickly but as calmly as I could in, just waiting for something to happen. It was a really traumatic, horrible experience, but I'm very grateful to get in unscathed and uninjured.
On the beach and in the water is where school teacher and mum of two, Riss Lasser, feels most at home. It's a world she and wife Christy have been keen to share, YouTubing as they juggle raising a young family and finding time for daily waves on the New South Wales south coast. Now though, she's a little less keen to go back in. Riss was surfing at a local break in Yada Beach near Manana on Wednesday afternoon when a shark breached and bumped her off her board. Her lucky escape, not unlike Mick Fanning's terrifying encounter at South Africa's J Bay in 2015. Telling Christy about it took a little pre-warning.
I said to her, just brace yourself, I've got some footage to show you. It's pretty full on. It looks like the Mick Fanning footage. It's pretty horrible.
This is not the first close call for the couple. In 2023, it was Christy who was paid a visit by what she says was a great white. Both incidents captured as they filmed for their online channel, Waxhead Women.
So we have a tripod that sits on the shore. It has the iPhone on it, and it just films the entire session. So that's how I was able to capture that footage.
This incident, the latest in a spate of close encounters and attacks along the New South Wales coast. Some of them, sadly, have been fatal. Already, the government has spent millions on more shark spotting drones.
The program of drone surveillance will be the largest anywhere in the world.
Riss put her faith in a magnetic shark deterrent.
It's a shark bands. They're meant to put out a magnetic field around you so that sharks know that you're not prey.
Her return to the water this week didn't go to plan either.
Apparently there was a shark beelining towards me that had been in the shore and was heading out to where I was. So yeah, in 48 hours, that was pretty scary to have that happen in what was meant to be my redemption session and to get me back in the water.
She says her next surf is on hold for now, but the water is calling and she knows she can't resist forever.
It is something that's happening more and more. As surfers, we need to know what to do if someone gets bitten. It's happening closer to shore, and we need to be ready to respond and respond quickly and help each other.
It's just incredible and absolutely terrifying.
She's so lucky, Amelia, and hopefully she'll be back in the water soon.
Yeah, I wouldn't be, but hope she does. Now, just 6 months after the Bondi Beach attack, Sydney's Jewish community has been terrorised once again, with 2 men allegedly pointing a fake gun from this car as they drove past a synagogue at Double Bay in Sydney's eastern suburbs. Their number plate was picked up by a security guard, and the 22 and 25-year-olds were quickly tracked down by police, arrested and charged. They faced court today.
Among those inside the synagogue marking the Sabbath when this happened was Yankee Super, a volunteer medic who was among those shot during the Bondi attack. Yankee joins us now from Shabbat Double Bay. Yankee, can you tell us how this played out yesterday?
Yeah, so it was just after midday. We were all in the synagogue just towards the end of the prayers when a car drove past, and they pointed what appeared to be a firearm at the security guards in front of the synagogue. The security guards straight away contacted the police, and the police managed to catch up to them in King's Cross and arrest the 2 people from the vehicle.
Yankee, as you said, this appeared to be a real gun. We now know that it was a replica, but you are still recovering from being shot at Bondi. This must have brought back some horrific memories for you.
Less than 7 months ago, I was shot in Bondi, spent weeks in hospital, 3 surgeries. I still have shrapnel all through my back, about 300 pieces in my back. And for this to happen again, it is quite scary, but we are a very resilient community, and we're not going to let this get in the way, and we'll continue to be proud Jews and continue going to synagogue and be proud of who we are.
Yeah, Yankee, these men are still before the court and they haven't been found guilty of anything, but Jewish leaders are already branding this a case of, quote, threatening and terrifying Jews for laughs. What do you make of that?
What the police have told us is that it was 2 French nationals who work as Uber Eats delivery riders. That's as much as we know. We don't know what their motive was, and that's the police to speak about.
And obviously, Yankee, this isn't funny.
No, absolutely not. It's especially for our community who's just been through an actual terror attack, an actual shooting. It's quite confronting.
On that, we are in the middle of the Royal Commission that was sparked by that terrorist attack, focused on anti-Semitism. Are you surprised and, I suppose, disappointed that this sort of thing is still happening?
The community is afraid, as we can understand, but we are very resilient, as I said, and we aren't going to let this stop us. And I call on all Jews to this Friday night, come to your synagogue and be proud and show that we aren't afraid and we're proud of who we are.
Yankee, thank you so much for speaking with us.
Thank you for having me.
How would you like to fly from Melbourne to Perth in 3 hours or Sydney to the US in 8? Well, the prospect of ultra-fast flights out of Australia is now much more realistic.
And it's all thanks to a simple law change in the US and a new way to stifle the sonic boom.
It's been 40 years since Concorde last departed Australia.
Set next craning again as she swept above the harbour in a farewell salute to Sydney.
But there could soon be a return supersonic flight down under. America's Federal Aviation Authority has repealed a ban on the ultra-fast flights that had been in place for half a century.
Supersonic flight with this technology is going to be in the next several years in our lifetime.
And the rest of the world is expected to quickly follow suit.
This is a general ban internationally. So generally speaking, the FAA is a trendsetter.
The technology had been shelved basically because of noise complaints over what's known as a sonic boom. When something travels faster than the speed of sound, it pushes air aside. That forms a shockwave which creates a cone of pressurised air shooting out in all directions. If part of that cone reaches the ground, it generates an audible bang.
It presented itself as an explosion or akin to a gunshot when a supersonic aircraft flew overhead, even though they're flying at 60,000 feet.
The people of Oklahoma City know it well.
It made everybody mad.
They were subjected to 6 months of repeated sonic booms as part of an experiment on the human impacts of the flights in 1964.
There were lots of windows broken in the city, and people were complaining about that.
The experiment failed and supersonic flights were grounded, but aeronautic engineering has come a long way since then.
They have created something that minimises the shockwave, and thus the sonic boom has reduced significantly.
It won't be my loud thunder, it might be like a car door slamming a couple of houses down.
And it's said to be a booming business. Ahead of the FAA's announcement, several US companies have developed a new generation of supersonic passenger aircraft, which are quieter and more fuel efficient. They fly 800 kilometres an hour faster than any other civilian airliner, cutting flight times in half. 2 are already spruiking flights to Australia on their website. Boom says it can fly LA to Sydney in under 8 hours. Spike says it will fly Singapore to Sydney in less than 4. Is that realistic? Would that be a market that they would want to operate in?
If they can make it cheap enough, then I believe that commercial viability might improve significantly if we're doing those long international routes in a supersonic fashion, yes.
When we think about shortening flight times, we often think of those big long-haul international flights. But this could be really beneficial for domestic flying, given that that is usually overland.
Absolutely, especially for countries that have very long domestic flights. Australia is one of those countries.
In terms of domestic travel, like flying over land, you can save, a significant proportion of the flight time. For example, if I was going to take a flight from Sydney to Perth, nowadays it would be around a 5-hour flight. Flying in one of these new aircraft, maybe that would be a 3 to 3.5 hour flight.
The people of Perth will be pleased to know that both experts I spoke to said that this isn't that far off, like a year, 2-3 years before this is a realistic prospect.
Well, as someone who can't fit in plane seats, it cannot come fast enough.
Well, I hope for your sake that it's soon. Now, here is what else is happening. A mother has been charged with murdering her 4-year-old son on the New South Wales Central Coast. The 32-year-old woman, who is well known to police, handed herself into officers. The child's body was discovered in their home a short time later.
President Donald Trump has delivered a late-night address in Washington, D.C. after severe storms delayed America's 250th birthday event, extending celebrations past midnight. It wasn't the only Independence Day event to go amiss. Extreme heat forced the cancellation of DC's annual parade, while the Brooklyn Bridge caught alight during New York's fireworks.
And there's speculation Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce's honeymoon could include a stop in Australia. The pop star and NFL pro are expected to embark on a whirlwind 3-week trip spanning multiple continents, including the Caribbean and Europe.
Just ahead on 10 News Plus. The scathing words Anthony Albanese has for critics of Labor's tax reform.
You're with 10 News Plus. The Prime Minister has just landed in Fiji. Anthony Albanese is expected to sign a new security deal with our Pacific neighbour. It's the latest strategic move against China's influence in the region.
But before he jetted off, the PM was speaking on home turf. Here's our network political editor, Ashley Raper.
Please welcome home Anthony Albanese.
For the better part of my whole life, this famous hall has been a cathedral, a coliseum and a classroom.
It's hard to find a room the Prime Minister is more comfortable in and a crowd more supportive, even with a few protests. Since 1983, Anthony Albanese has played an active role in the New South Wales State Labor Conference. And now as Prime Minister, it's a moment that brings the movement to him.
We have reformed negative gearing and capital gains tax.
But he's spent some capital.
My colleagues and I knew that there would be bumps in the road. But if you put the entirely predictable and barely coherent noise from the usual suspects to one side, one feature of the current debate has really stood out to me. No one has argued that the housing market was working fine.
At the moment, New South Wales Labor has a Prime Minister and Premier from its ranks. It makes for a more reserved conference, especially with a state election scheduled within the year. But that didn't stop a push for the Chris Minns government to be bolder on gambling restrictions, in particular poker machines.
This is a great Labor thing to do. This is the right thing to do. This is something our party must stand up for.
If the Labor Party stands united on this matter of principle, this is a fight in which we will not be defeated.
Impassioned speeches, then success on the floor.
I declare the motion carried. In my view, this will be perceived as a very historical motion from this conference.
And perhaps a warning to the Prime Minister, himself accused of dragging the chain on gambling advertising. The National Labor Conference is only 3 weeks away, and these words may come to haunt him.
If you don't have the ticker, you can kick the can down the road and leave the problem for someone else.
He insists that's not what Labor does.
We choose progress over protest. We choose action over anger. We choose outcomes over outrage. We choose real change that makes a real difference.
A contrast, he hopes, to his opponents.
It is the race to the bottom that all three right-wing parties are caught up in. They are the axis of grievance.
Immigration, one key issue for the Conservatives, although one senior Liberal was today urging a kinder approach.
We can be the party to deliver more housing without demonising those who want to come to this country and build the nation. But more than that, I'm just not going to be drawn into the ideological battles in Canberra.
Coming up on 10 News Plus, swapping iPhones for shears, how an outback cop and a shed full of sheep are teaching these kids some discipline and skills for life. Welcome back. Now, somewhere in your past, you might remember a thing called a blue light disco. I actually had a few formative nights during a blue light disco, Amelia.
Me too, I can imagine.
Now, back in the day, the police would put them on to give teenagers something to do, have a little fun, stay out of trouble.
Well, there are parts of our wide brown land where the idea remains, but a disco doesn't cut it anymore. Take a look.
Past Gundawindi in far southwestern Queensland is a shearing shed that's turning a little magic. Under the eye of a police officer, these kids are learning how to shear.
They learn more than just sheep shearing. Sheep shearing is the vehicle. They learn about them. They start to create their identity.
For a week, these kids are up at 5:30, into bed by 8:30, and in between, they're hard on the tools.
We create an environment where they can be them. We create a structure, and they go to work.
It is back-breaking work, but it's working.
It's a very good idea to do it. You learn a lot, get into a good routine, and you meet a lot of good people.
Originally I was getting in trouble a lot at school. Came here, loved it, so now I'm pouring my head in at school so I can keep coming.
I've seen a lot of kids walk in timid and shy at the start, and now they can have full-blown conversations with adults who they've never met before, and I've seen such growth in them over 3-4 camps that is just unbelievable. You don't get that in the classroom.
What I found amusing was the girls here applied themselves from the get-go. And when they started becoming quite competent at shearing, wait on, the roosters in the group, they decided they better lift their game.
Laurie Bateman is no ordinary copper.
You look at him, he's scary, but when you get to know him, he's a big teddy bear.
Yeah, he's good. Good to have a conversation with. He's, yeah, just a good bloke in general.
When I was a young fella, I was heading down the wrong road, and it brought me back onto the right road.
At 15, a school dropout, his parents pointed him towards a shearing shed and told him to get earning.
You soon learn how to be respectful. You soon learn structure. You soon learn respect.
And Laurie learned shearing to such an extraordinary level, he and his mate Dave Grant set a two-man world record.
We've done 709 sheep in the day, and it still stands 20 years later.
His job might say police officer, his gift is for teaching.
When he talks about it, his passion for it, you can just see his whole face lights up, and it's almost like you hop on the train with him, and it's contagious, I would say.
He reckons the sheep are the teachers. We'll let him explain.
One of the biggest things would be to control your emotions. The sheep's got to sit still. Now, it won't sit still if you're nervous, angry, cranky, because it'll feel your emotions. So that's one of the things that we teach in day one. You know, breathe, centre yourself, relax, and then we carry that on all through the week.
I think this is one of the best group that we've had in a long time. The way you've all gotten on together.
There is another kind of education going on here. Laurie Bateman is a Kamilaroi man, and he sees what others sometimes miss.
You can see that it's been man-made.
Near the sheds is a wide corridor in the bush, marked out by trees carrying scars from long before any metal blade.
And what you can, if you look carefully, you'll see where the boys have been with their rocks.
It brings another level to the learning and to the connection. By the next morning, not much left to do.
All those boys packed up around there?
They've got it all outside.
Having been witness to another little layer of sweat and stories, the sheds are closed. And in the morning light, the mullets fly, even for those who can only dream of them.
I would love to see the program expand, because we know it works. We've helped hundreds of people over the last 11 years, hundreds of kids. They will all take away something. Some will take away more than others, but it doesn't matter. They'll still take something away.
Oh, what a wonderful program. I like the mullets in the breeze.
Yeah, fantastic program.
And that was shot and produced by the great Pete Murray, our outback cameraman extraordinaire. And Harvey, thanks for joining us.
It's great to be here. Thank you, Amelia.
Here all week, up from Melbourne. Not a Collingwood spotter, but we'll work on that.
Go the D's.
That's the show for this Sunday. We'll be back at 6 p.m. tomorrow. Thanks for your company. Good night.